Shalom, shalom, everyone. Today I wanted to show you guys something. People were asking me. Actually, my cousin was asking me some things, and a couple other people about what Bibles to use, what books to use to study. Yes, I have my Laker hat on. It's Laker season. So all you Laker fans, you're probably happy. But if you're not a Laker fan, you probably don't like my hat. But oh well. All right, so let's get down to some basic resources. I'm just gonna show you what some of the books that I use. I got a bunch here on my shelf, but let me show something that I believe that most people can understand and use. If you're like looking for Hebrew meanings of Hebrew words that are used nowadays, this is a good book. It's called Webster's New World Hebrew Dictionary. This is a good resource. It's Hebrew and English, so when you first open it up, it's going to have words in Hebrew and it'll give you the English translation. And then when you go to towards the back of it, it's going to have English words and it's going to give you the Hebrew translation. So that's just the way how it works. And it's just basic meanings of Hebrew words, nothing like really deep, but it'll give you some insight. So just if you're really starting to study. Where's that? One thing I like to carry around wherever I go, I carry this little Bible here. Little Bible. It's pocket size. I can fit it pretty much anywhere, and it's a basic King James large print. You know, let me see if I can get it in there. And it's a little pocket size, you know, and I keep that wherever I go. So I always have scriptures with me, even though we should have them in our heart. I like to have reference. I can't memorize it all, but I memorize a lot because I just fell in love with it. All right, here's another. This is the Complete Companion of a Spirit-Filled Bible Study, Haver's Bible Handbook. So that's another one, Haver's Bible Handbook. And let me show you a little longer because someone might be trying to write it down. Okay, so and it's it gives a lot of visuals inside of here. Let me see if I can find something that. So it's just like keys to Chronicles, and it starts breaking things down. God is faithful to deliver those who cry out to Him, and then it breaks certain things down. What happened during King David's time, and it's really got a lot of timelines and charts in here. It's really good study tool. Then I have another one. It's called Dictionary of Jewish Words. Dictionary of Jewish Words. Let me see if I make sure I don't get too much glare in there. Okay, and that's by Joyce. I don't see how I say her last name. Eisenberg, and Alan Skolinek. Okay, and this is comes out of JPS. Oh, my puppy's out there barking. But let me give you let's see if I can got a good word here. Okay. So you probably heard a word called bar mitzvah. Okay. So bar mitzvah, and I tell you literally the son of the commandments. When a Jewish boy becomes 13, he is bound by the commandments. In other words, he now is responsible for fulfilling the laws of Scripture. The phrase also refers to the boy himself. Okay, so it gives you different things that different Jewish words. You know, they're Hebrew words really, but there are some Yiddish words in here, other words that are borrowed from other languages to make the Hebrew language that we have today. So, you know, there's a word here called tiferet. Tiferet. It literally means beauty. The six of the sense tiferet, or aspects of God's creative nature. So, and it gives you some things in there. So, you know, it's a good book. It doesn't have a whole lot of words, but it has enough to get you started with understanding Hebrew words and Hebrew language. This one's really good. It's by Larry Hooch. He's actually a pastor. From New Beginnings in Irvine, Texas. That's his church, and it's called Torah Blessings. Let me see if I can get in there. The Torah Blessings, revealing the mystery, revealing the miracle. Yeah, he breaks some things down in here that connects the Hebrew understanding with the Christian understanding, and shows everything how it's really connected and the beauty that's in it. He even breaks down here it says the Sabbath. This miracle rests that we are given every week is a shadow of the realities of heaven. And he really does a good job of breaking this down. And that's a book I recommend every believer to get to start understanding some things. Now, here's another one. It's called Jones Dictionary of Old Testament Proper Names by Alfred Jones, forwarded by Dick Mills. So this is this one, Jones Dictionary. Let me see if I can get it. Got a lot of lighting going on here. There you go. That looks better. Okay, that's a good study book. It gives the proper names, where a lot of proper names you won't find in a concordance and stuff. So you'll have like Eden and just proper names. You'll go through it. Manasseh. There's so much in the meanings of the names. You know, what's the meaning of Jerusalem? What's the meaning of Judah, of Israel? All those names are in there. Okay, so one more. Let's see. I'll get another study book before I bring out that stuff. Okay, here's another one. It's called The Temple in Ministry and Services. This is really interesting. The temple, its ministries, and its services. And what this does, it shows you the operation of the temple. Remember, the temple, not the tabernacle. Two different things, and things were different inside of them. And when you read the scriptures, you'll understand why they're different. One was on the outside, and the other one was when it was brought into the promised land and the temple was erected. Okay, so that's those. Now, as far as Bibles are concerned, there's many options. Now, if you want to get a good comprehensive understanding of Scripture when you're reading it, and it puts back Yahuwah's name, which you see capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D in the King James Version, you'll see it as Yod He Ba He in the Hebrew here, but even though it's English, and you see like Elohim used instead of God. And so, for those of you who are starting to understand the Hebrew and the meanings of it, and it's called the Scriptures. And this is by the Institute for Scriptural Research. And it looks just like that, the Scriptures. And it's an easy read once you understand what the Hebrew terms are, different things. But it's not too hard to understand. And it has explanation notes in the back and a couple of charts. And it actually has some really beautiful pictures and stuff that's in them. So that's another that's a good Bible to get off to get information off of, because it has a lot of stuff inside of it that you can glean from. Now, here's another one that's really good, and it has a lot of study tools in the back and really explains the Hebrew understanding. I don't agree with every single thing that's there. There are some things I think could have been done with more love and understanding. That's just me, you know. But this is very I use this a lot to bring in some understanding. It's called the Aramaic English New Testament, and it has an Aleph Tav on it. And let me see if you can see that. It's hard to see because of the. Let me see if I get it on this side. There you go. Aramaic English New Testament. Let me see. Maybe if Aramaic English New Testament, and you'll see the menorah, and that's let me see. I got it. It's that gold finish that's kind of making it clear, but it's the Netzerai Press by Roth. Okay, so let me see. Might be able to. And so what this does, it's the New Testament, but from the Aramaic. Now, Aramaic is a sister language of the Hebrew, and so it holds a lot of the meaning behind the Hebrew and some of the things that were lost when the New Testament came out. And they're using a lot of Greek references. Well, this puts it back in perspective, and when you read it and you read all the information behind it, it actually explains that. So it's a very good reference book. Now, if you want to read the Brit Hadashah, which is Brit Hadashah means the renewed covenant, or the New Covenant. Okay, so if you want to read what the New Testament would look like or sound like or be read as in Hebrew, then this is a really good one. It's called the Orthodox Jewish Brit Hadashah, and what it is, it's the New Testament from a Hebrew perspective, and it breaks down the Hebrew words and the reading in it. Now, this one's a little harder to read because there's a lot of Hebrew mixed in here with the English, but in the back it actually gives you a glossary, and it tells you what those words mean. So you can kind of like write them down for yourself and then get the understanding and go back and read it and understand what's being said. This is one that I use. The Apocrypha is in this one, you know, for those of you who are wondering what that is, but It's called the New Oxford Annotated Bible. It's New Revised Standard Version with the Apocrypha. It's a college edition. So what this is done by scholars that have went and did a lot of historical research of scriptural things, and they found evidence of things that are out there, and or things that are in Scripture. And so it's called the New Oxford Annotated Bible. Excuse me. Okay. And so what this does, it gives you a lot of historical facts, things that were going on there, and it's just a lot of insight. So when you're reading the Bible, the timeline makes sense in your head, and you understand what was going on around the people and what some of the idioms are, some of the things that are going on, what was related, and why certain things are pinned a certain way or written a certain way, I should say. Might understand what I'm saying. Okay, so that's that one. Now here's another one, and this one's it's a little pricey if you can find it, but I love this one. This one's one of my favorites, and it's called the Restoration of Scriptures, the True Name Edition. Arms to Israel Publishing. Okay, so it looks like this. Oh wow, the Restoration of Scriptures, and let's see if I can get a little closer. The True Name Edition. So when you open up this one, you're going to see Yod He Vav He restored in here to the Hebrew letters, and then then the way it reads is really neat. It uses some of the Hebrew. It's not as hard as the Brit Hadashah, but it does have a lot of Hebrew terms in it, and it puts things in perspective. You'll see some Aleph Tav in there, and that's a different study. And it just means the first and the last. That's the basic understanding of Aleph Tav of what Jesus says is, I am the first and the last. Well, that's the Hebrew letters, and he's the beginning of them and the end of things. And the written word was written by the Hebrew letters. So all those letters that are there are him. And that's the basic understanding of it. That's a deeper study we can do one day. But then this is a King James Bible. This is a kind of a hard one to find. I have seen some out there that are getting a little pricey. They're hard to find, but if you can get one, spend the money and get one and put it away. It's really hard to get. Not hard to get, but it might be hard to find now. I haven't really looked for it lately, but it's called Dakes, D-A-K-E-S, Annotated Reference Bible. The Old and New Testament is based off of King James Version, and it doesn't have anything in the front, but it's called Dakes Annotated Reference Bible. Now, what this is done by a scholar that went and traveled to all the lands and learned the language, and he has a lot of things written. You can see how much detail is in here. It's a lot. But when you read the scriptures, it's King James Version, but he breaks things down. And this is from a long time ago. Watch, I'll show you what the date is. It's really interesting. I get kind of excited when I find these treasures. This is copywritten in 1963. So he was probably writing it between the 50s and the 60s. And a lot of churches and different Christian believing people didn't like what he had to say, because he was bringing out things that were kind of risque, or trying to hard for people to accept at the time, because it was way back in the 60s and 50s, and he was bringing out Hebrew perspective way back then as a pastor and as a scholar, and one who actually went to the land and studied, and he's seen things there, and he learned the Hebrew, so he has things written that are very, very interesting, and I'll leave that up to you to go and find. But what a blessing, what a treasure that is. Now, there's many, many books. You can see I got just all these books here, and I got other books around my desk, and I got books in my shelves in the garage, and in boxes, and I got stuff in my closet here. There's a lot of books, and Scripture says to the right of books there's no end. We understand that. So my thing is read your scriptures, read them for yourself, find a good Bible. One of those I've shown you, or there's others out there, and I showed you the ones that I like. There's others that I have, and of course, don't forget the American Dictionary of English Language of Noah Webster, 1828. That's the dictionary you should be using. It's one we should all be using. But once you, if you spend the money on these books and you cherish them, there are some of these things you can find online, but things can be changed online, and things can be pulled down online. If you have the book, you have the book, and it can't be changed. No one's sneaking in your house and rewriting the book for you. So, just with that, I hope you find the something that fits you, and just let's feed that hunger that you have for the Word and understanding it. If you really want to know the Word, you can. We read through all these different books, all these different scholars, all these people have done so much work and so much study to bring to us a very easy way to just open up a book and read the information and then glean off of it and then go back to the scriptures and look at it and say, oh wow, this is what this means. Oh wow, that's what that means. Oh wow. And it starts to make sense. It starts to put the Bible in perspective and how we relate to it, what it means to us in our life. And that's why I like to study it. I like to understand the time, the timeline that all these things were happening. When was Isaiah? When was Nehemiah? Where are all these things happening? Who was around? What was going on around the world at the time when all these things were happening that are written in the Bible? And they all make sense once you understand the timeline and what was really going on. So, just with that, be blessed. I hope you find some treasures of your own. These are a few of my treasures that I'm sharing with you. And if you have any questions, let me know. Please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, let me know. If you need prayer, let me know. And please share this with as many people as you can. I'm trying to reach as many souls as I can before the end of the year. Really feel that we need to, get a hold of people right now, as many as we can right now before the end of the year. So when the year starts, we're going to come with a whole bunch of new believers. We're going to start off fresh. We're going to start off new and have a series of teachings I want to share with everybody. And a whole lot of thoughts have been, just on my mind from a long time ago, things that are coming up, things the Father is showing me, and I want to bless everyone as much as I can. So shalom, shalom. I love y'all. Please subscribe. Talk to you soon. Be blessed.